All right, let's dive into a major political showdown happening in India. The ruling party, the BJP, is facing some really serious accusations. We're talking about claims of grabbing too much power, pushing minorities to the side, and even turning on their own political partners. But the BJP isn't staying silent. They've come out with their side of the story, and today we're going to break down their defense piece by piece.
So, this is the big question at the heart of it all, isn't it? Is the central government in India getting just too powerful? You got regional parties raising the alarm bells, but the BJP, the party running the show at the center, has a completely different take. So to really get what they're saying, we have to go right to the source.
Okay, so to make sure we're not just lost in all the political noise, we're going to focus on one key source for this explainer. It's a direct interview with the BJP's spokesperson, Anand Dubey. This lets us look at the party's official arguments in their own words against these pretty heavy accusations.
And here it is, the big headline-making claim from that interview. It's a really bold statement, and it pretty much sets up their whole defense. The argument they're making is, hey, this isn't about us wanting more power. Instead, they say their focus is all about development, and that development is for every single person in every corner of the country. Now, before we get any deeper, let's just do a super quick refresh on a key idea here. Federalism. What is it? Well, it's basically the system that divides power between the main central government and all the individual states. It's all about that balance of power. And, you guessed it, that very balance is what this whole fight is about. All right, so let's get into the first big area of conflict, federalism. The core charge from their opponents is that the BJP is basically tearing up the rulebook on power sharing. The accusation is that they're trying to build a much more centralized nation, where the states have less and less say. And this criticism isn't just one thing. It's coming from a few different angles. Critics are saying that, look, since 2014, this federal system has been slowly chipped away. You've got these regional parties, right? They have their own local issues and identities, and they're getting genuinely worried that the central government is stepping on their toes, maybe even trying to control them from the top down. Okay, so that's the allegation. How does the BJP fire back? Well, they do more than just say, no, we're not doing that. They actually build a whole counter-argument. They frame their entire position as being built on a long history of respecting this very federal structure. Their spokesperson puts it pretty directly. He says that for India to be a strong developing nation, you need a strong federal system. It's not a roadblock for them. They see it as the absolute key to making the country grow and run smoothly. And to back this up, they pull out a pretty dramatic piece of data. They talk about something called president's rule, which is basically when the central government dismisses a state government. They point out that under the previous Congress governments, this happened over 90 times. 90! In contrast, they say, under their watch since 2014, it hasn't been used for political games at all. And this really gets to the heart of their defense on federalism. They're basically saying, look at what we do, not what people say. The argument is that all their big development programs are rolled out everywhere, completely equally. It doesn't matter if a state is run by them or by an opposition party, everyone gets the same treatment. So that idea of treating everyone the same with development, well, that leads us right into the next set of big accusations. And these are just as fiery. We're talking about how the party deals with minorities and even its own political allies. And the questions here are, really pointed. Are minority communities being sidelined in states the BJP governs? And what about their allies? Is the BJP basically cannibalizing them, weakening them just to steal their voters? Pretty serious stuff. Let's get specific on these charges because they're major. First, there's the feeling among some that minorities are being left out. Then you have this political charge that the BJP has a habit of breaking up with its partners, and critics point to what happened in states like Maharashtra and Bihar as proof. There's even a whisper campaign that some so-called opposition parties are actually a B team for the BJP, secretly helping them out. So how does the BJP answer all this? They go straight to their official slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vishwas. It translates to, with everyone's trust. And they're saying, look, this isn't just a catchphrase. This is the actual philosophy behind how we govern. And to fight back against that claim of sidelining minorities, the spokesperson hits them with the number, a big one. They claim that in Uttar Pradesh, India's biggest state by population, 1 out of every 3 people benefiting from government programs is from a minority community. 1 in 3. And they don't just leave it as a number. To make it real, the spokesperson points to specific examples from a program called One District, One Product. They talk about places like Moradabad, which is famous for its brass industry, or Bahadohi for its carpets, and say, go look. The artisans there, many of whom are minorities, are the ones benefiting the most from our schemes. Okay, and what about that charge of backstabbing their allies? Here, they describe their philosophy for working with other parties. They use the state of Bihar as their case study. They say, for us, a partnership is all about a shared goal for development. It's not about who's the senior or junior partner. It's about respect, giving everyone an equal chance, and working like a real team. So when you step back and look at all of this, you realize it's more than just a list of accusations and defenses. What we're really seeing here is a clash of two totally different stories about what's happening in Indian politics right now. It really boils down to this. On one side, you have the critics, who are telling a story of divisive politics. They're saying the BJP is winning by pitting people against each other based on religion and caste. But on the other side, you have the BJP's own story. They call it developmental politics, and they say their only goal is growth and prosperity for everybody. It's a battle of narratives, really. And the spokesperson wraps it all up with a very confident, very bold statement. He basically says that the game is over for anyone trying to play the old politics of religion and caste. The shutters, he says, are down. The voters just aren't buying it anymore. So in the end, the BJP is trying to frame the choice as a very simple one for the Indian voter. Are you going to stick with what they call the divisive politics of the past, or are you going to choose their vision of a unified, developed future? And that, of course, leaves us with the biggest question of all. When you're faced with two such powerful, competing stories, how do you, the voter, figure out which one is the truth?